Picture this. You are behind the wheel of a truck, driving through the breathtaking landscapes of Canada, earning a salary that supports your entire family, and at the same time, building a future that leads directly to permanent residency. No years of waiting and uncertainty, no dead ends. Just a clear, proven path that thousands of drivers are already walking right now in 2026. If you have ever thought about moving to Canada, working there, and eventually calling it home, then what you're about to hear in the next few minutes could change the direction of your life forever. Welcome to Canada Pathway Immigration, the channel that gives you real, honest, and up-to-date information about moving, working, and building a permanent life in Canada. If you are new here, please subscribe right now and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video, because we publish guides like this one regularly, and every single one of them could open a door you did not even know existed. Now, let us get into what is one of the most powerful opportunities available to immigrants in Canada today. Canada is facing one of the most serious truck driver shortages in its history. The Canadian Trucking Alliance has reported a deficit of tens of thousands of drivers, and that number is expected to grow significantly over the next few years. This is not a temporary problem, so it is a structural gap in the workforce that the Canadian government is actively trying to fill through immigration. And that is exactly where you come in. In 2026, truck driving is not just a job in Canada, it is a gateway to permanent residency. And the government is making it easier than ever for qualified foreign drivers to come in, work, and eventually settle permanently. So let us start from the beginning. The job title you need to know is Transport Truck Driver, and it falls under the National Occupational Classification Code 73300. This NOC code is critically important because it determines your eligibility for immigration programs. In 2026, this occupation is listed as an in-demand role in multiple provinces across Canada, which means it qualifies for a range of immigration pathways that we are going to walk through one by one. The first and most accessible route for truck drivers is the express entry system, specifically through the Federal Skilled Trades Program. Many people do not realize that truck driving qualifies as a skilled trade under Canadian immigration law. To be eligible through this stream, you need at least 2 years of full-time work experience as a truck driver within the last 5 years, a valid job offer from a Canadian employer, or a certificate of qualification from a Canadian province or territory, and you need to meet the language requirements in English or French through an approved test like IELTS or CELPP. Your express entry profile is given a score called the Comprehensive Ranking System score, and candidates with truck driving experience and a valid job offer can receive significant additional points that push them toward receiving an invitation to apply for permanent residency. The second major pathway is the Provincial Nominee Program, commonly known as the PNP. This is where things get especially exciting for truck drivers in 2026, because multiple provinces are actively targeting transport drivers through their own nomination streams. Provinces like Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and British Columbia all have specific streams that prioritize skilled trades and in-demand occupations. And truck driving sits at the top of that list in many of them. When a province nominates you, you receive an additional 600 points in your express entry profile, which essentially guarantees you an invitation to apply for PR. The PNP route is one of the fastest and most reliable paths available right now for truck drivers looking to immigrate to Canada. The third pathway worth knowing about is the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot and the newer Atlantic Immigration Program. These are community-based programs designed to bring skilled workers to smaller cities and rural areas that struggle to attract immigrants through the mainstreams. Many of these communities have trucking companies that are desperate for drivers, and the local settlement support and community sponsorship make the transition much smoother for new arrivals. If you are open to living in a smaller Canadian city or rural province, these programs can get you to permanent residency faster than almost any other route. Now, let us talk about what Canadian employers are actually offering truck drivers in 2026, because the compensation packages are genuinely impressive. The average truck driver's salary in Canada right now ranges from 55,000 to 90,000 Canadian dollars per year, depending on the province, the type of freight, and the level of experience. Long haul drivers and those with specialized endorsements for hazardous materials or oversized loads can earn well above that range. On top of the base salary, many employers offer benefits packages that include health coverage, dental, paid vacation, and retirement contributions. Some companies are even offering relocation assistance and help with the immigration process itself as part of their hiring package, meaning they will sponsor your work permit and guide you through the PR application. Speaking of work permits, before you can apply for permanent residency, most truck drivers will first enter Canada on a work permit. The most common route is through the Temporary Foreign Worker Program or the International Mobility Program. For the TFWP route, your Canadian employer needs to obtain a labor market impact assessment, which is a document that proves they could not find a qualified Canadian worker for the position. For the IMP route, certain agreements and categories allow employers to hire foreign workers without this assessment. Once you are in Canada on a valid work permit and have accumulated the required work experience, you can transition directly into a PR application through Express Entry or a Provincial Nominee Program. One thing that is extremely important to understand in 2026 is the role of a valid truck driving license and credentials. Canada does not automatically recognize foreign driving licenses for commercial vehicles. You will need to have your credentials assessed, and in most cases, you will need to obtain a Canadian commercial driver's license, the equivalent of which varies by province but is generally known as a Class 1 license. The good news is that if you already have commercial driving experience from your home country, the licensing process in Canada is significantly faster and more straightforward because your experience counts. Many provinces have streamlined this assessment process specifically to accommodate incoming foreign drivers. Language is another factor that people often underestimate. You do not need to be perfectly fluent, but you do need to meet a minimum language benchmark. Typically, Canadian language benchmark level 4 in English or the French equivalent. For truck drivers, this is usually very achievable, and there are free and low-cost language training programs available both online and in Canada that can help you prepare. A higher language score also improves your CRS points in Express Entry, so investing time in your English or French proficiency directly accelerates your path to PR. Now here's the big picture that you need to keep in mind. Canada's immigration targets for 2025 and 2026 are among the highest in the country's history. The government has committed to welcoming hundreds of thousands of new permanent residents every year, and in-demand occupations like truck driving are being prioritized at every level of the system. This is not a window that will stay open forever. Immigration policy changes, programs get updated, and the competition for spots increases every year. The drivers who are taking action right now, researching, preparing their documents, improving their language scores, and connecting with Canadian employers, are the ones who will be crossing that border with a work permit in hand while others are still thinking about it. If you are serious about making this move, the steps are clear. Start by getting your documents in order: your commercial driving license, your work experience letters, your educational credentials, and your language test results. Research the provincial nominee programs in the province that suits you best. Begin reaching out to Canadian trucking companies directly because many of them are actively looking for international drivers and are willing to support your immigration process. And stay informed, because immigration rules in Canada update frequently, and having the right information at the right time is the difference between success and missing your opportunity. Canada is calling, the roads are waiting, and your future as a permanent resident of one of the greatest countries in the world could begin with one truck, one job offer, and one decision to take action today. If this video gave you value and clarity, please give it a thumbs up right now. It helps this channel reach more people who need this information just like you did. Drop your questions in the comments below, and I will personally do my best to answer every single one. And if you have not subscribed yet, join the Canada Pathway Immigration family right now, because we have got more powerful guides, immigration updates, and step-by-step roadmaps coming your way every week. Your Canadian dream is not just possible, it is within reach. We will see you in the next one. Inside the cabin of a modern Canadian truck, the world looks different. The hum of the engine, the open road stretching ahead, the GPS guiding you through provinces you once only dreamed of visiting. For thousands of immigrant drivers, this seat is not just a job, it is the beginning of a new life. Every mile driven is a mile closer to permanence, to belonging, to calling Canada home. Canada's trucking industry is the backbone of its economy. From massive distribution centers to freight-loaded warehouses, from logistics hubs to highway fleets moving goods coast to coast, the demand for skilled drivers has never been greater. The Canadian Trucking Alliance reports a shortage of tens of thousands of drivers, and that gap is growing every single year. This is not just an opportunity, this is a calling. Canada's immigration system is designed to reward skilled workers. A Canadian flag raised with pride. A passport stamped with possibility. A permanent residency card that changes everything. For truck drivers, the path to PR is real. It is structured, and it is happening right now for thousands of families who made the decision to take that first step toward a better future. There are 4 powerful immigration pathways available to truck drivers in Canada right now. Express entry through the Federal Skilled Trades Program. The Provincial Nominee Program with Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and British Columbia, all actively targeting transport drivers. The Atlantic Immigration Program, connecting drivers to communities on the East Coast. And Rural Immigration Pilots, placing drivers in growing communities that need them most. Each pathway is a door, and in 2026, those doors are wide open. Life on the road in Canada is more than a job. It is a lifestyle built on freedom, dignity, and purpose. Fuel stops across the prairies, warm meals at truck stop diners, rest cabins under a sky full of stars, and at the end of every run, a paycheck that supports your family back home and builds the foundation for the life you are creating here. A video call home, a smile that says, "We are going to make it." Canadian employers are actively recruiting international truck drivers. Recruiters are sitting across the table from drivers from the Philippines, India, Mexico, Brazil, and beyond, reviewing experience, signing contracts, and initiating visa sponsorship. The labor market impact assessment process is your employer's commitment to you. It is proof that Canada needs you. And once that LMIA is approved, your journey to a Canadian work permit begins in earnest. Obtaining your Class 1 commercial driving license in Canada is the key that unlocks everything. Training programs across the country are welcoming international drivers, recognizing your existing experience, and fast-tracking your certification. Truck parking exercises, highway driving assessments, instructor-guided training. Every hour behind the wheel brings you closer to the credential that makes you fully qualified to work and live in Canada permanently. The rewards of this journey are real, and they are tangible. A salary between $55,000 and $90,000 Canadian dollars per year. A home purchased in a safe, welcoming neighborhood. Children playing in the snow for the first time. A family that is whole again, together, stable, and thriving in one of the greatest countries on earth. This is not a dream. This is the documented reality of thousands of immigrant truck drivers who chose to act and who now call Canada home. As the sun sets over the Canadian Rockies and the highway stretches endlessly into the golden horizon, remember this: Canada is not just a destination, it is a decision. The roads are waiting. The opportunities are real. The pathway to permanent residency is open. All that remains is for you to take the wheel. Canada is calling, and your future begins now.